They told me nature would be peaceful. But out here, in the silence, I learned how loud your mind can really get. No Wi-Fi, no comfort, just me, the cold, and the wild. And in just 24 hours, I learned more about life, about fear, patience, and who I really am than I did in 10 years of school. I thought I was just going camping. One backpack, one camera, and 24 hours completely alone in the wild. No phone, no distractions, just me and nature. What I didn't expect was that those 24 hours would teach me lessons I never learned in a decade of school. It started like any other trip. I packed the essentials: food, water, a tent, a knife, and a notebook. As I walked deeper into the forest, the noise of the city faded, and something strange happened. The silence. It was loud. It wasn't empty, it was alive. Every crunch of leaves under my boots, every whisper of wind through the trees reminded me just how disconnected I'd become. At school, I was taught formulas, historical dates, and theories. But out here, the lessons weren't written in textbooks. They were written in the dirt beneath my feet and in the steady rhythm of my own heartbeat. The first lesson hit me fast: adapt or fall apart. When I reached into my bag and realized I forgot my lighter, panic set in. No fire, no warmth, no light. For a moment, I felt totally helpless, like a kid again, just waiting for someone to come and solve my problem. But then it clicked. No one was coming. And that's the entire point. So I tried, and I tried again, using an old-school fire starter until finally a tiny spark caught in that little flicker of flame. I saw a profound truth. You don't grow by being comfortable. You grow when you're forced to figure things out for yourself. School taught me to memorize answers. The wild taught me to create them. As the hours passed, the sun dipped below the trees, and suddenly the forest transformed. At night, every sound feels 100 times louder. Every shadow seems to stretch and move. My mind raced with fear, imagining all sorts of things lurking in the dark. That's when I learned lesson 2. Patience. You can't rush the dark. You can't force the sun to rise any faster. All you can do is breathe, stay present, and wait. And in that forced stillness, I realized how much of my life I'd been rushing, chasing deadlines, looking for validation, constantly pushing for the next result. But nature doesn't rush, and yet everything still gets done. The wild taught me patience, not as a skill, but as a state of peace. When morning finally came, I felt different. The same forest that had scared me just hours before now looked breathtakingly beautiful. Lesson 3. Perspective changes everything. The fear wasn't actually in the forest, it was in my head. The moment I accepted that, the world opened up. I started thinking about how often we label things as bad, hard, or impossible just because we're too close to them. But if you take a step back, breathe, and look again, the same problem often reveals itself as a lesson in disguise. Out here, perspective isn't some motivational quote. It's a survival tool. As I ate my breakfast, just cold oats and river water, something hit me. Gratitude. Not the kind you quickly write down in a journal, but the kind you feel deep in your bones. I realized how incredibly lucky I was to have a home, a warm bed, and people who cared about me. We spend so much of our lives chasing more and more success, more status, more validation, that we forget the simple, profound miracle of just being here. In those quiet hours, gratitude wasn't an idea. It was an awakening. School taught me to chase achievements. The wild taught me to appreciate existence. As I packed up and started walking back, I thought about everything I'd learned. There were no grades, no certificates, no applause, just raw, real experience. Those 24 hours didn't necessarily make me smarter, but they made me more aware. aware that the greatest teacher isn't always found in a classroom. It's found in challenges, in discomfort, in solitude, and in silence. The wild didn't test me. It revealed me. So if you ever feel lost, maybe it's not because you're missing the answers. Maybe it's because you and T stepped far enough away from the noise to actually hear them. Take a day, step outside, let life teach you the lessons school never could. Because sometimes one day alone in nature can change the way you live the rest of your life. Out there, I didn't find comfort, I found clarity. The forest didn't whisper secrets to me. It showed me truths I'd forgotten. That peace isn't about silence, it's about presence. That fear isn't an enemy, it's a teacher. And that the wild dose in tea just change how you see the world. It changes how you see yourself. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more adventures, both within and beyond. See you in the next one.